For years, the Tesla Semi felt like a side project, low volume, quiet updates, almost forgotten by the market. And then something changed, not a press release, not a keynote, not even a major announcement. A pattern, subtle design shifts, manufacturing signals, operational choices that only make sense at scale. The Tesla Semi Gen 2 is not a refresh, it is a signal, and it points to one thing only: Tesla is preparing to scale. Chapter 1: Why Gen 2 Matters More Than a Launch. Most people think vehicle updates are about features, more range, more power, better looks. That is not what this is. Gen 2 is not about impressing buyers. It is about unlocking production. Every change Tesla is making to the Semi follows one rule: remove friction from mass manufacturing. This is how Tesla has always operated. Before Model 3 scaled, the design simplified. Before Model Y exploded in volume, casting replaced complexity. Before Cybertruck entered production, entire assemblies disappeared. The Semi is now following the same path. Tesla does not announce scale first. It engineers for it quietly, and Gen 2 shows those signs clearly. This is the phase where prototypes become production use. Its edge cases get eliminated, and cost per unit starts falling fast. The market keeps asking when the Semi will scale. The real answer is simpler. It already is. Change 1. The design shift that only makes sense at high volume. The first sign of scale is never speed, it is simplicity. Tesla quietly changed the Semi's exterior geometry, and most people missed why it matters. Sharper edges disappeared. Panel transitions became smoother. The front profile grew more uniform. This is not about aesthetics. It is about manufacturing tolerance. At low volume, complex shapes are manageable. At high volume, they become failure points. Every sharp contour increases. Panel alignment risk, paint variability, repair complexity. Gen 2 eliminates those risks. Tesla is standardizing the Semi's exterior so panels fit consistently across thousands of units, not dozens. That tells us something important. Tesla is no longer optimizing for prototypes. It is optimizing for repeatability, and repeatability is the foundation of scale. This same pattern appeared before. Model 3 lost complexity before volume ramp. Model Y simplified surfaces before global rollout. The Semi is now on that same path. When design starts bending toward manufacturability instead of uniqueness, it means the production team is already planning higher throughput. This is not cosmetic. It is strategic. Change 2. The manufacturing shortcut that cuts cost before volume even starts. The second signal is not visible on the outside. It is hidden in how the Semi is built. Tesla has quietly reduced the number of unique parts in the Gen 2 platform, not by removing capability, by consolidating functions. Brackets became integrated structures, mounting points merged, fasteners disappeared. This is the kind of change that only matters when you plan to build thousands, not dozens. Every unique part adds supplier coordination, inventory complexity, quality control risk. Gen 2 cuts that overhead before volume even ramps. This is a classic Tesla move. They do not wait for scale to fix cost problems. They eliminate cost in advance so scale amplifies the savings. Fewer parts mean faster assembly, lower defect rates, shorter production cycles, and most importantly, fewer supply chain bottlenecks. This is how Tesla protects itself before expansion. If one supplier fails, production does not stop. If one part is delayed, the system absorbs it. That resilience is not accidental. It is engineered. And it tells us Tesla is no longer experimenting with how to build the Semi. It already knows how it wants to build it at scale. Change 3. The interior redesign that signals fleet. First thinking, the interior is where Tesla's intent becomes impossible to ignore. Gen 2 quietly moves away from driver luxury and toward operator efficiency. The cabin layout is simpler, surfaces are flatter, controls are reduced and repositioned. This is not cost-cutting, it is fleet optimization. Luxury interiors matter when you sell one unit at a time. Fleet interiors matter when you deploy thousands. Tesla is designing the Semi for drivers who spend long hours on repeat routes, share vehicles across shifts, care more about uptime than novelty materials are easier to clean. Where surfaces are more durable, seat designs prioritize posture over aesthetics. Even the display layout reflects this shift. Information is clearer, distractions are reduced, critical data is always visible. This is what a commercial vehicle looks like when it is no longer experimental. It is not trying to impress a showroom visitor. It is trying to survive continuous operation. That tells us Tesla is thinking in terms of fleet managers, service intervals, long-term operating cost, not early adopters. And that mindset only appears when volume deployment is close. Change 4. The weight reduction that unlocks both range and payload. Weight is the silent limiter of every heavy truck. It determines energy consumption, payload capacity break, where tire life Gen 2 attacks weight methodically. Not by removing strength, by removing redundancy. Tesla has rebalanced the Semi structure, so material exists only where it carries load. Support members were reshaped. Reinforcements were redistributed. Excess mass disappeared from non-critical zones. This is structural optimization, not compromise. At scale, even small reductions matter. Every few hundred pounds removed extends range without increasing battery size, allows higher legal payload, lowers energy cost per mile. That combination is rare. Most trucks trade payload for range or range for durability. Gen 2 improves all three simultaneously. This matters enormously for fleets. More payload means fewer trips. Fewer trips mean lower operating cost. Lower cost accelerates adoption. Tesla is not chasing headline range numbers here. It is chasing economic efficiency per load. That is how commercial buyers think. And once again, this is a change that only makes sense if Tesla expects high utilization across many units. Weight reduction at prototype scale is optional. At production scale, it is transformative. Change 5. The charging interface shift that prepares for fleet turnaround speed. Charging is where electric trucks either scale or fail, not range, not peak power. Turnaround time. Gen 2 makes a quiet but critical shift in how the Semi interfaces with charging infrastructure. The connector placement is more standardized, cable access is simplified, alignment tolerance is increased. This is not a cosmetic tweak. It is about reducing seconds at scale. In fleet operations, seconds compound. If one truck wastes 3 extra minutes per charge, across hundreds of trucks, across thousands of charging sessions, that becomes lost revenue. Tesla is redesigning the charging interaction so drivers dock faster, automated alignment becomes easier, future robotic charging becomes possible. This is forward-looking. Gen 2 is not just preparing for human drivers. It is preparing for semi-automated and automated depot operations. That tells us Tesla is thinking beyond the first wave of customers. It is designing for high-throughput depots, tight scheduling windows, continuous fleet cycling, charging stops being a pause. It becomes a brief transition, and when charging friction drops, utilization rises. Higher utilization is the hidden multiplier of scale. Tesla understands that the truck that charges faster does not just move sooner. It earns more per day. Change 6. The cooling system upgrade that stabilizes performance under constant load. Thermal management is where electric trucks quietly fail, not in short tests, not in demos. But after hours of continuous load, Gen 2 addresses this directly. Tesla has reworked the Semi's cooling architecture to prioritize stability over peak performance. Coolant routing is more direct. Heat exchangers are more evenly distributed. Thermal buffers are increased in high-stress zones. This is not about making the truck faster. It is about making it predictable. For fleet operators, predictability matters more than peak numbers. A truck that delivers consistent performance for 10 hours straight is more valuable than one that peaks high and degrades. Gen 2 reduces thermal spikes during long highway pulls, heavy uphill grades, repeated fast charging sessions. That means fewer forced slowdowns, fewer power limits, less component stress, and less stress equals longer service intervals. Tesla is engineering the Semi to operate closer to its limits without crossing them. That is a mature design decision. Early platforms chase capability. Scaled platforms chase reliability. This cooling upgrade tells us Tesla expects the Semi to spend most of its life working, not resting. Change 7. The software shift that reduces training and increases fleet consistency. Software is where scale either accelerates or breaks. Gen 2 introduces a quiet but powerful shift in how the Semi behaves across drivers and routes. Tesla is standardizing operational behavior. Throttle response is more uniform. Regenerative braking profiles are normalized. Driver assistance cues are clearer and more consistent. This is not about autonomy. It is about reducing variance. In fleet operations, variance is expensive. Different driving styles increase. Energy inconsistency break, where training time safety risk. Gen 2 software narrows those differences. New drivers adapt faster. Experienced drivers make fewer outlier decisions. Fleet performance becomes predictable across units. This matters at scale. When you deploy dozens of trucks, inconsistency is manageable. When you deploy thousands, it becomes chaos. Tesla is designing the same. ISO behavior is guided, not improvised. That reduces training hours, incident rates, performance spread. It also prepares the platform for partial automation and future autonomy. A standardized human baseline is the foundation of machine takeover later. This is not flashy software. It is disciplined software, and discipline is what scale demands. Change 8. The service access redesign that cuts downtime across fleets. Downtime is the hidden enemy of every fleet. A truck that is not moving is not earning, and at scale, even small service delays become expensive. Gen 2 makes a clear shift toward service-first design. Access panels are larger. Critical components are repositioned. Routine service points are reachable without disassembly. This is not accidental. Tesla is redesigning the SIM. ISO technicians can complete common tasks faster and with fewer tools. At low volume, service inefficiency is tolerable. At high volume, it becomes a bottleneck. Gen 2 eliminates that bottleneck in advance. Key service actions now require fewer labor hours, less vehicle downtime, minimal specialist intervention. That matters for fleet operators managing dozens or hundreds of trucks. Instead of waiting days, trucks return to service in hours. This also lowers operating cost. Less labor, fewer errors, shorter service queues. Tesla is not just building a truck that drives well. It is building a truck that stays on the road. And uptime is the true currency of commercial fleets. This redesign tells us Tesla expects frequent use, rapid cycling, and continuous operation. That expectation only exists when scale is no longer theoretical. Change 9, the battery strategy adjustment that balances cost, longevity, and throughput. The battery is the most expensive component in the Semi, and Gen 2 treats it like a system, not a specification. Tesla is no longer optimizing the battery for maximum range alone. It is optimizing for lifecycle economics. Gen 2 shifts toward a battery strategy that balances 3 priorities: cost per unit, cycle durability, charging throughput. This is a scale decision. Extreme range sounds impressive, but for fleets, it often goes unused. What fleets care about is how many cycles the battery can handle, how quickly it can recharge without degradation, how long it lasts before replacement. Gen 2 adjusts cell chemistry usage and thermal buffering to reduce long-term stress. The result is not a dramatic headline increase in range. The result is a battery that degrades more slowly, handles frequent fast charging, better maintains consistent output under load, that lowers total cost of ownership. A battery that lasts longer does not just save replacement cost, it preserves uptime. It stabilizes performance planning. Tesla is choosing durability over bragging rights. That choice only makes sense when you expect the truck to operate daily for years. Gen 2 is not designed for demos. It is designed for decades of service. Change 10. The manufacturing layout shift that signals a real production ramp. The strongest signal of scale does not come from design. It comes from the factory floor. Gen 2 is accompanied by a quiet but decisive change in how the Semi is built. Tesla has restructured the manufacturing layout to reduce travel distance between stations, simplify material flow, and eliminate manual handoffs. This is not optimization for a prototype line. This is optimization for throughput. Assembly steps are grouped logically. High variability tasks are isolated. Automation zones are expanded. Each of these changes cuts seconds. And at scale, seconds become capacity. A tighter layout means higher units per hour, lower labor per vehicle, fewer quality escape points. It also means Tesla can ramp without hiring exponentially. This is critical. Most manufacturers hit a wall where labor scales faster than output. Tesla designs its lines so output scales faster than labor. That is how you move from hundreds to thousands. This layout shift also signals confidence. You do not redesign a production line unless you expect sustained volume. Temporary lines stay flexible. Permanent lines get optimized. Gen 2 is being built on a line Tesla expects to run continuously. That tells us the next phase is not experimental. It is operational. Change 11. The final signal that confirms Tesla is ready to scale the Semi globally. The final signal is not a single feature. It is alignment. Gen 2 shows that every major system is now pulling in the same direction. Design simplicity, manufacturing throughput, service efficiency, battery durability, software standardization. Nothing is fighting anything else. That is rare. Most vehicles reach production with compromises still unresolved. Tesla resolved them before the ramp. This is the difference between a product that exists and a product that spreads. Gen 2 is no longer optimized for one market, one customer, or one use case. It is optimized for replication, different regions, different regulations, different duty cycles. The platform can absorb variation without redesign. That is the hallmark of global scale readiness. Tesla is not asking whether the Semi can scale anymore. It is preparing the system so scaling does not break it. And when every change points in the same direction, the conclusion becomes unavoidable. The Tesla Semi Gen 2 is not a refresh. It is a transition from proof to production to permanence. Now here is the real question. If these 11 changes are already visible before volume ramps, what happens when Tesla applies full manufacturing pressure? Comment Semi already begins or comment T-ho. Oh, early, I want to see where you stand. And if you want the next breakdown, the one that explains how the Semi reshapes freight economics once full autonomy arrives, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Because Gen 2 is not the end. It is the signal that the next phase has already started.